Madam called a truce, Dime is pregnant, and Babyface is the baby daddy. Let's get into this breakdown of All the Queen's Men, Season 4, Episode number 7, titled Trick Daddy. And rightly so, the title is definitely appropriate for this one, so let's get into it. So we're going to pick up where we left off from Episode number 6. Concierge is getting a haircut, and Madam paid him a visit. She stopped by to let him know that she's a little bit tired of losing money and family members. Well, she didn't actually lose her dad, but she was about to. And Concierge was like, well, you know you don't want to kill me because retaliation from my family is going to be too big of a price for you to pay. So they called a truce. And I'm really glad that they did because, I mean, who wants to keep killing people? They weren't really accomplishing anything. And what was surprising to me in this scene, I looked more closely and she actually cut him a little bit. And that was real blood dripping from his neck. And I don't know what this is about them tasting blood. He did the exact same thing that Smoke did, but Smoke actually tasted someone else's blood. Ew. She told him not to ever come near her dancers again, or otherwise that razor is gonna not be on his neck the next time, but somewhere else. Yeah, next time she might just cut it off. And before she left, she told him to get tighter security. I told y'all, Madam always has one up on him. And he was smiling when she left, so yeah. They'll be back in each other's bed soon enough. So in our next scene, Midnight made good on his promise to his lady payer. He went over to her house and she had the door unlocked just like he told her to. He fake woke her up and she started screaming. He tossed her around a little bit and then he got to it. I'm not sure, I don't know why someone would have a fantasy to be R-worded. Like, what's the point? And no disrespect to the real victims out there, but I mean, come on. But Midnight went through with the plan. He went all the way in and gave her what she wanted. And as he was walking out, he called her crazy. But you know, he called her crazy bitch, but he's the one who's, you know, playing around with her like this. And I think it's gonna lead to some destruction in his life. Like, he needs to stop playing with her. She's definitely on a whole nother level with these sex games. Then in our next scene, we have Amp and his mom, Tony. Now, this was the most heartfelt scene in the entire episode. Amp really delivered in this scene. He was believable. I really liked it. But they basically talked about Tony not being there for him. He told her that he never stopped loving her. And he also wanted to know about his father. He wanted to know if she had finally left him, and she said that she did. And they really don't know where to go from here because it's been so long and there's so much pain. And it looks like Tony is ready to do the work, but just looking at the last episode, I don't know. She has ulterior motives and we really don't know what those are, but it looks like it's geared more towards Madam as opposed to Amp. But I'm really glad that he stopped by because it shows that at least he's willing to try. And at some point during their conversation, I really felt sorry for Tony. This is where they are. She really doesn't know what to say or how to handle this situation. It's going to be interesting to see how they get through this. Blue is in the doctor's office and she took another meeting with her therapist. And this time she's really bothered about having to take that coworker home. Remember Tina, who passed away with midnight in her mouth? What a way to go. But this is bothering Blue. And this therapist lady, she's asking all the right questions, but Blue really doesn't trust it. She doesn't really want to open up to her for some reason. And I really don't know why, because this is the therapist that her friend recommended. Blue told her that she really wasn't comfortable opening up in that way. So the therapist suggested that they take another angle with her treatment, one where she doesn't have to come in and talk all the time. So now we move on to Fuego, and he's still trying to figure out what exactly happened to Sandra. He's looking at the security footage from some restaurant or some location that these guys went to after they did what they did to her, and he finally saw them. He saw them on camera, and then at that point, this is when Big D came to the door, ready to go to the gym. And the place that these guys went to is called Boco's. Or Buku's, something like that. Big D knows the joint very well. He likes their po' boys. So they decided to go and check it out. Then we make it down to the police station, and poor little sweet Naima is ready to start her shift, and she came into work when she ran into these two. And they told her that she needed to go home. They found out that little Miss Naima had PCP in her system. So all of the evidence that she had turned into the lab, it's discredited. They cannot use it at all. And of course, some of that evidence was Madam's. So now this all makes sense. Doc may not be too dumb after all. Then we move back to Big D and Fuego. And Fuego opened up to Big D about what was going on with him and his ex-girlfriend, Sandra. He wanted to know if he had what it took to kill someone. And we know Big D, if I did, I wouldn't tell nobody about it. His accent is just so charming. So Fuego is thinking about taking these guys out. Now, this is really strange because this is not really how I remember Sandra dying. I don't know. I have to go back to look at it, but this is not what I remember. There were just so many storylines in the beginning, it's hard to keep up with them all. Then we're moving on to midnight as he's going to the laundry room to wash his dirty drawers when he ran into this old crazy chick, the one who wants to be R-worded. She just basically popped up on him and she came in to let him know that she wanted to be his girl. Midnight was like, nah, I ain't ready for all that right now. He told her that he couldn't really commit to anyone because he likes too many different flavors. And you know what? I really think that this girl is going to go berserk because she wants to be with him and he doesn't want to be with her. So this is gonna drive her crazy and she's just gonna go manic on him. But before she left, she had to get some more of Midnight and he obliged, of course. Ain't they some freaks? In our next scene, we have Madam and Tommy with his 4-flavor butterboard. Madam wanted to know if he had talked to Blue, and he said that he called Blue, but she didn't pick up the phone. Madam is stressed all the way out about this trial, but leave it to Tommy, and he's gonna make everything all right. He said that he was gonna set something up for her to help her to relax. Now that Frick and Frag here have figured out that Naima's submissions are not admissible, they decided that they're not gonna tell anybody. They're not gonna tell their higher-ups, and they're gonna push this under the rug just so that they can get to Madam. And can someone please school me on what the law is? Because how do you go after an accomplice to murder and not arrest the murderer? Like, that makes no sense. Even though we know that Detective Davis has like a lot against Madam, but you're not above the law, sweetie. Like, aren't there procedures that must be followed? Because they are really working overtime trying to get Madam to be arrested and to get it to stick. But it has to make sense. Quincy's got some survival tips for Rayshawn. Rayshawn is really upset and he's a little lonely because Champ is gone forever and Trouble is in trouble. She can't even come back to the club. But Quincy assured him that he's got his back and not to worry about anything. Then Quincy got a text message from Peachtree Paternity, and it looks like the test results are in. Rayshawn shared a story about his friend having some blood work done there, and he turned out not to be the father, and then he said, F them kids. But Quincy didn't really appreciate that too much, and he didn't really respond to Rayshawn because he's got bigger fish to fry. Madam stopped by Tandy's to find out about the eminent domain property that she inquired about a couple of weeks ago, and Tandy is still working on it, and things ain't looking too good for Tandy, y'all. Not in Madam's eyes. She hasn't killed D.A. Rods, nor has she secured this property. She ain't doing nothing that Madam told her to do. Tandy told her that she's under a lot of scrutiny, just making a lot of excuses. And she also let Madam know that she's gonna have to testify in her trial. But she promised Madam that she's gonna keep quiet about everything. Then Tandy was like, is there anything else I can do for you, Madam? Madam was like, you can get back to whatever the fuck you were doing. I guess she threw cock blocking for the night. This show must have a cigarette contract because everybody is smoking. Like everybody. Madam, this girl at the club, Trouble. What's up with all the cigarettes? Trouble is outside of the club and she's selling mollies. And I don't understand because she can't do anything else to get on Madam's bad side. Like, this girl, she's Trouble. I mean, the name is appropriate and she just cannot seem to stay out of trouble. She told Rayshawn that she's selling dope to pay her rent because remember last week, Madam suspended her for being high in the club and bothering the patrons. Then Babyface walked up and he could not pass up the opportunity to F with her. But she had a comeback for him this time. She said, at least I ain't got no gay stalker. So she had to break the news to him to let him know that the gay stalker, aka Quincy, stole his drawers out of the locker and that he had a montage of pictures. So now Babyface mad. He pissed off and he walked away. Since Madam's lawyer told her to keep her nose clean and to lay low for a while, she's having a short conversation with her security and she told them that if they saw anything suspicious to report it to Blue immediately. He told her that he got the trial pushed to a different date and that he also wanted to talk to all the dancers that are going to be testifying in the trial because he wants to prep them and make sure that everyone's going to be on point with whatever they tell them to say. Although she let him know that the lab tech, Naima, tested positive for PCP, he said that that's just a small piece of a bigger puzzle and that they've got so many charges stacked up against Madam that they're still going to trial. Blue finally made it into work and she told Madam that she had some personal things to take care of. And it looks like Madam is, of course, she's concerned, but Do we think that Madam is gonna start not trusting her so much now because Blue didn't want to share where she went to? The little girl woman Lola came in to talk to Detective Davis to let her know that Tina, the fluffer from the club, had died. She passed away in her home peacefully, so they say. She thanked her for that information and then she left. Now we really know where Lola's loyalty lies. It's with the police department. So Madam should have killed her when she had the chance. Babyface is on a rampage to find Quincy. He went to the locker rooms looking for him and he tried to make Rayshawn tell him where he was, but he told him that he didn't know. He started banging things up against the wall. You know, he's pissed off. Then he finally opened the locker and saw all of his pictures. Now we're back to Madam's office where Tommy is showing off his cooking utensils when Doc walked in. And Doc was a little astonished because he knows that Madam wants to talk to him, and then he sees this utensil with fire blazing from it that Tommy is holding. So he was a little shaken up. Madam told Tommy to leave because he was scaring Doc. You know, Doc with his big, buff, fine self. He could probably give Tommy a run for his money. I don't know. I would like to see them fight just to see who would win. But she wanted to thank him for handling Naima. And Doc didn't even realize that this is what he had done. She tried to pay him a whole stack, and he really didn't want to take it, but she insisted. Then Tommy came in to let her know that her surprise was ready. All of her bells and whistles. But first we gotta move back to the locker rooms with Babyface where he's trying to find Quincy. He discovered the pictures in his locker just like Trouble told him, and now he wants to kill him. But Blue was like, not while you in here, not on Madam's dime you won't. She told him to kill him on his own time. Amp had to stop by and thank Dime for giving him the advice to speak to his mom and to give her a second chance. They just kind of went back and forth. Nothing really happened in this scene other than he just wanted her to know that he talked to his mom. Babyface, El Fuego, and Big D took the stage. And I really enjoyed their dance. I really liked the costumes, the lighting, and their choreographed movements. It was really nice. And Quincy over there doing his thing when Rayshawn came up behind him to let him know that Babyface is pissed off and that he's looking for him. Then we moved on to Madam with her bells and whistles. And then Tommy wanted to stick around. He said, hey, you know, can I... do you need me to help you out with any of this? And she was like, no, not this time. And I really don't know why they had this guy covered up. Like everybody else is wide open. Why didn't he show his? But in this scene, Madam was the writer, the director, and she's giving everyone play-by-play instructions on what to do because it was definitely turning her on for sure. She wanted them to untie each other, pour candle wax all over each other, and this kind of reminded me of yet another scene from Ruthless where Ruth had to pour all of this wax on the highest. So we've seen this wax thing before. But whatever Madam wants, Madam gets. Then we move back inside the club where we see Dime sick, throwing up in the trash can. And she's throwing up some red stuff. Well, girl, what did you eat? Maybe she had a drink or something and didn't agree with her tummy. And of course, we all know that she may be pregnant. So that's that. Blue came by to see if she was okay. And she told Blue that she was lightheaded from the Clorox that they clean the floors with. But we all know that's cap. So in our final scene, we see Quincy coming in, handing over his cash for the night. And he killed it once again. Babyface called him gay, then they turned up. Babyface let the crew know that Quincy has been stalking him, and then Quincy said, no, I haven't been stalking you. He pulled up the test results from his phone, saying that Babyface was his dad. Now, in this final scene, it was okay. It could have played out a little bit better, in my opinion, at the very, very end. We really didn't need Midnight giving us test results because it was giving Jerry Springer, Maury Povich, and I thought that was a little overused. But Quincy was very passionate and he was very upset. But there it is, Quincy is Babyface's son. End scene. Thank you so much for joining me today on Ruthless TV. You guys, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. You know I'd appreciate it. And if you're a fan of All the Queen's Men, then go ahead and sub to the channel for more videos just like this one. Thank you so much once again, and I'm gonna see you on the next one.